Lewis Hamilton equals Michael Schumacher's record for world titles. Need we say more? Let's jump the start.
Hey everybody, welcome in Jump to Start Racing podcast. What a freaking race that was. I'm here, my name is Wellington. I'm here with two of my closest friends. Ruben, how are you doing?
What's going on, guys?
Yhancy?
Hi.
I would have thought you would have been more enthusiastic after that race.
Let's get talking.
Let's get talking.
Oh
The
my
excitement will slowly creep in.
It will, but to get you going, get the juices flowing, first, obviously, we got to talk about our socials at Jump to Start F1 on Twitter and Instagram, Jump to Start Podcast on YouTube, and here we go. Jump to Start Racing Podcast, obviously on all podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Sorry, they're making faces at me. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeart Radio, and TuneIn.
I like it when you say that, bro. Can you say that again?
Yeah. We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, and iHeartRadio as far as podcast platforms go. So,
Boom. Very nice.
I know Yhancy wanted to start with this in our pre-show talk, but Lewis Hamilton, 7th world title, 6th with Mercedes, and 4th in a row.
The best there is. The best there was. The best that ever will be. As you call him, Wells, the
Excellence of execution.
There you go.
Lewis Hamilton. We've talked about it obviously on and off throughout the season, but kind of really to close this chapter on it, 7th world title, equaling Michael Schumacher's record. He is, I don't know if there's any superlatives that we could not use with this guy. So I just want to run down most titles in F1 history. 7 with Schumacher and Hamilton, 5 Fangio, legend, obviously, 4 Prost, legend, obviously, and 4 the gentleman, the first person actually to congratulate him before getting out of the car, actually, obviously, aside from team radio.
Right.
Sebastian Vettel, 4 world titles as well. Obviously.
Very fitting that he was on that.
Yeah.
Like a true gentleman that he is.
Yes.
Absolutely. The mayor of F1, Sebastian Vettel.
The mayor.
Ruben, I know that you were actually the one that put us onto F1. I know you've been a fan of Lewis Hamilton. Let's hear some thoughts.
Thank you, Yhancy. the shout out he just gave him, the best there is.
Yeah.
Coming from a Ferrari fan, that's obviously very, very welcome. I just can't wait for him to actually surpass Schumacher. And we all living it, we all enjoying it. I'm enjoying the hell out of it. So
Yeah, this is.
come on, we woke up at 5 a.m. to watch this race.
Yeah. I woke up a little late, actually.
Wah.
Caught it. I watched the first 10 laps on repeat because for some reason my alarm didn't go off. But yeah, man. And I honestly, obviously, we all thought that Lewis was going to win the race. We didn't think he was going to win it this way. But it doesn't surprise us. The guy is amazing. One of the GOAT. In my eyes, the GOAT. Probably second to Senna, even though, I mean, that's a discussion unto itself. But for this guy, considering the circumstances this year, obviously the season started late, all the difficulties surrounding that, and just coming in and showing out, even when you have a teammate that has, as much ish we talk about Bottas, he's right then and there challenging him for pole and for race wins. He showed up and showed out, man. He's the best. And for you to equal that record, which when it was set, we remember as kids, we didn't know much about F1, but we knew who Michael Schumacher was. In order for you to come in and you equal that record in relatively short period of time, considering how long of a history F1 has.
Yeah.
It's amazing, man. And just watch greatness because he's still gonna keep going. It's not done yet. It's not done yet.
I think Schumacher did it in, I think, a little bit over 300 races. Lewis is still in the 200s.
Yeah. I mean, it's insane.
So if we want to talk about years in racing, right? Hamilton almost won a championship in 2007.
As a rookie.
Yeah, that is, and we'll talk about this during the race, but he barely lost that freaking championship. He almost won it in 2016, right? So we could be talking that he'd be at 9 titles right now.
Crazy.
Won his first in 2008, and now his 7th in 2020. So, like, I guess in his 14 total year career, has 7 championships. That's absurd. And that is with Sebastian Vettel winning 4 within that. Yeah, within that. That's highly impressive.
Appreciate the greatness. Don't hate, appreciate. The guy he's basically a god amongst men when it comes to this sport. And it just and I've mentioned this before. The only thing I've seen close to this would be like Michael Jordan. And I see a lot of hate going Lewis's way. And it's so undeserved because the guy's a model citizen. This year he's coming to his own as far as human rights, really, but as far as, the Black Lives Matter movement and everything else that he juggles, the singing career and the fashion brand.
He's a dog dad.
Yeah, he's a dog dad.
And he lost one too.
Yeah, and then to show up
environmental activism. Did you mention that?
Yeah, well, no, I didn't. Yeah, but
he's a vegan.
It's just crazy. It's just you just look at his CV in the U.S. his resume, and it's like, accomplishment after accomplishment after accomplishment, and you just wonder how one person can handle so much and still be at the top of his game, and not just be one of the top drivers. You're talking about the best driver in the world. One of the best drivers in the history of Formula 1. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. This is greatness right before our eyes. And it's not over yet. So if you're late to the bandwagon, hop on, man. It's gonna be a great ride. And I'm not, and I'm not a Mercedes fan. I'm not a Lewis fan. I am a fan of him, but I don't root for him. But yeah, man, just appreciate what you see. That is the excellence of execution, the example of what a person should be.
Also, what going back, staying with Lewis, pretty much everything that he also says, he goes through with it. So he just doesn't mention, when environmentally, he actually goes and participates on it. Yeah. That's why he was able to become a vegan and all the way, because he wanted to go.
And he slowly but surely got like they used to rag on him because he would talk about environmentalism, and then he would ride around in the private jet. He sold his jet.
Yeah.
He's now he's riding around in electric cars. Like, he's about it. He has
it's not fake.
The Extreme E team now, and
yes,
like rally style. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he's about it, and he's coming into his. He's coming into his own, and it's amazing how a person who's been in the limelight for so long can say that he's coming into his own, but he's really defining himself now as a model citizen, not only as a race car driver, but as a model citizen too.
Can't wait for that museum to open up.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. I hope
so he can show all the transitioning and all that stuff that he was involved in and all of that other stuff. That would be amazing to see happen as well.
So we talked about his 14-year F1 career, almost winning 2 championships, having 7. So that's 9. And then I think one other important stat is that he's driven 2 other teammates, his own teammates, crazy. I'm talking about Fernando Alonso, one of the all-time great drivers, and Nico Rosberg, who went to the brink of his mental, physical, and psychological capacity and emotional capacity to be able to win in a season in which he got lucky with Hamilton having engine problems and stuff like that. I feel for Valtteri Bottas. Like
Yeah.
if that's what it takes to be able to win, like it's
And the only teammates that have beaten him are world champions.
yeah, Jensen Button included
Button,
in that list.
Yeah. And let's not forget, he's won at least one race every year that he's been in F1, regardless of the car. He's at least won one race every year that he's been in F1. That's insane.
That's talent.
I don't think people in my opinion, the people that hate on Hamilton, I don't think they hate him for what he does or what he has accomplished. I think they hate him more for winning all the time. That's what it is.
Because they're haters.
Yeah, but the same thing. Schumacher went to the same thing. People were just people were tired of seeing the same guy winning all the time.
New,
Exactly.
Well,
that's what the little hate that he gets, because I think that's a little bit of hate, even though he
I
probably
always
gets a ton of hate.
I always say, and this is true. This is verifiably true. If you don't have haters, you ain't doing something right.
Exactly.
So,
and he definitely is.
He's definitely doing a lot right, a lot more than a lot of us. So he's bound to have his haters. I just you can hate him on certain things, but just the amount of hate and vitriol, it's just unwarranted, man. The guy's, he seems like a good guy. I don't know him personally, obviously.
That's our boy, man.
Yeah, I know you have him on speed dial. but yeah, he's positive dude, model citizen, exemplary character as far as being a race car driver and just being aware of just the alertness of all the problems that's going on in the world. And it seems like he wants to be involved in solving these problems too. So it's not just about solving the problems within F1, but as a citizen of the world. So
I think that's a good place to put a period on it. Moving on to the race weekend, and I always butcher it, but gentlemen, a quick view back to the past. Oh man, the Turkish Grand Prix. Well, the weekend itself, practices and qualifying. I was very nervous that it was just going to be a disaster of a weekend, because as they came out for qualifying, actually, Lewis Hamilton himself came out and said that the practices themselves turned out it was a shit show, or it was going to be a shit show, because the newly resurfaced track, there was no grip in it. Too smooth.
I thought I was watching figure skating in the Olympics, the first two practices. It was, and even the way qualifying played out, the first Q1 and Q2, I told you guys, I was like, this is so boring, because it just seemed like we were just watching cars. There was no fast laps. It was just like cars just going off and pirouetting. It seemed like everybody was Sebastian Vettel.
Oh, poor Vettel.
Yeah. He redeemed himself this weekend though.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just watching. For some reason, I woke up at 3 a.m. to watch a free practice one on Friday.
Right, and he couldn't wake up at 5 to watch the race.
Exactly.
Wow.
Everything balances out. But that's what I was seeing, and the reason why was because I think it was a week ago they had repaved that track, so it was really new. So there was no rubber, and then they didn't have a support series.
Yeah.
So there was no rubbering into the track. It was just straight, and these are slick tires, so there's no grip. So everybody was going off.
Wow.
And the nobody was even coming close. We thought that the lap time, the record lap time, was going to be destroyed. Nobody really came close with the rain or anything like that. Nobody came close to doing that. Everybody was excited to see these F1 cars go around this track, but they really didn't get to really see it in anger.
Yeah, and whatever little bit of rubber they tried to lay down, the rain was just washing it away.
Washing it away. There was it was an ice skating rink the whole weekend. Yeah, but
the rain never stopped.
When we got to Q3, things got good though. It was a good qualifying session, and especially when we got to Q3, I think.
Yeah. Well, before even getting to Q3, we talked. Oh, man, I hate to bring this up because I hate to be like that, the cop or the safety police, but We saw in qualifying session 1, at the end of it, Nicholas Latifi spun off the track. He was being recovered, and Q2 started with the recovery vehicle still on the track.
The
Like,
crane. Let's say the
right,
crane.
the crane.
Yeah.
It just, it was one of those things that the moment I saw it, I was like, dude, this is exactly what happened with, not exactly what happened, obviously, but this is what happened with Jules Bianchi. And this is how, he ended up crashing into a crane that was recovering a vehicle. And that's how he didn't die on the track, but later on he succumbed to his
injuries.
Yeah. What the heck? Why would we even risk it on a track that it was raining? It was slippery already. Why are you putting, and this year in particular has just been terrible. We talk about the Charles Leclerc seatbelt thing. That's a driver safety thing. Like, it sucks to say he should be punished for it, but he should, for safety and to set the standard, right?
I will not allow you to talk this way about Charlie.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking.
So then there was also incidents where we had full speed cars with marshals on the track not long ago.
Mm-hmm.
What do we, man, like, Michael Masi, what the heck are you doing? F1 race director.
Yeah, the excuse that he used was that the people on the track that were relaying information back to him, we're talking about Michael Masi, was that by the time the cars got to that point, that the crane would be out of the way. Obviously, that didn't happen.
Of course.
And Sebastian Vettel, what was the exact quote that he said? He
said, "I think we're all humans and mistakes happen, but this mistake has a zero tolerance. I think we're all aware, and I'm very confident that it will not happen in the future again, but we will for sure talk about this and disclose the reasons why."
Yeah, when you're talking about a virtual safety car in a track that is wet with a crane in the runoff area.
It was the start of Q2. It wasn't a virtual safety car.
But either way, I mean, we've seen throughout the weekend that the track could be slippery. Anything could happen. It's at the end. Then this was off of turn 1.
It was actually off of turn 8.
Turn 8? Okay.
Yes.
Turn 8. Anything can happen. An F1 car can go in, they can slip up, hit the crane, and this is exactly what happened with Jules Bianchi. That's inexcusable.
No, we could just say, thank God nothing happened.
Yeah.
Because it would have been horrible if something didn't happen.
Right, but if the chance, like if it's a 10% chance that something happened, and then right, because at some point you're going to try it enough where that 10% is going to happen.
Even if it's a 0.001% chance, you don't do that.
Right.
It's just it's just inexcusable.
F1 is at a safety level that they shouldn't take even a minimal risk like that.
No.
Whatever kind of percentage risk it is, no risk should be taken when it comes to driver safety at that level,
Yeah, I mean, especially when in the situation,
especially with
like
those circumstances that they had.
Yeah, with the F1 driver passing away because of that.
Yeah,
no.
We should never, ever, ever. We saw, what was the guy that passed away last year? F2 driver. Well, whatever.
The big
Hubert.
Yeah, Antoine Hubert. We saw Antoine Hubert. Obviously, there is nothing we can do there, right?
Mm-hmm.
We should never have to see a driver be killed or even injured during a recovery. There should be either they don't come out on track in the qualifying or practice session, obviously red flag it, get people back, or virtual safety car or safety car.
Well, it's not that there's nothing we can do. There's always something you can do.
By we, I mean Formula 1.
Yeah, There's always something that Formula 1 can do. It's for, for some reason I was watching Senna, the documentary on how he passed away, and then the reason why he ultimately the injury was that part of the suspension came up and hit him in the head.
Ouch.
That was going into Tamburello, and we know Tamburello because we just went to Imola. What happens now? The wheels are tethered to the car. The suspension, the rules for the suspension is so that it doesn't come back at you. The seats are the monocoque surrounding you is higher now Because before, if you see those cars, you can see the shoulders. Now you can't see that.
It looked like they were sitting.
Yeah.
We recently introduced the halo.
Yeah.
And that helped save Charles Leclerc that one time, that crazy accident?
In Spa, when Fernando Alonso went over him.
Yeah.
There's always something you can do. There's always something you can do. But this is, this is elementary. Don't get the F1 cars out there when there's a crane on track, regardless if it's in the runoff area.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Then his excuse was, it was just the outlap. It's like, dude, come on. Like, what are we doing here?
Oh, my God.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, and we forget that Jules Bianchi, I think he crashed under a safety car?
No, under a yellow flag.
Yeah, so I mean, when you're supposed to slow down? Come on.
Yeah. Just do better. Michael Masi. I miss Charlie Whiting.
Every day.
Yeah. Yeah. So, whatever. So, qualifying, that kind of marred, for me at least, qualifying. At the end, the results were actually pretty bonkers. It was a lot of rain that was coming down. It was a matter of who can just get a fast lap in Q3. And it ended up being a very funny, just not
the usual suspects.
Not the usual suspects. P1, P2, P3, Lance Stroll, Max Verstappen, and Sergio Perez. From there, it was Alex Albon, Daniel Ricciardo, then finally Lewis Hamilton, Esteban Ocon, Kimi Raikkonen, Valtteri Bottas on 9th, and then Antonio Giovinazzi in Q3. You guys, you asked me who was the most improved driver. I said Antonio Giovinazzi last week. You see, I'm patting myself on the back again.
I got a question for you about that.
What's up?
It just came up right now into my head. Did he have any passes this time in the first lap?
I don't know. I'll check. I'll respond back. But is there anything else to be said about the qualifying sessions?
Yeah, man. Lance Stroll is the best driver in the world.
No, he still sucks.
Position.
He still sucks. But he's always been good in the rain. He's always done good in rain.
Yeah. Well, he did. I think he drove well this weekend. Well, we'll get to it.
Qualifying, he did very well.
Yeah, he did. Listen, there was nobody else on the track that was that fast. So he pulled it out. Good for him. And now he got a pole position.
Perez is in there too.
Yeah. His resume is actually not bad if you look at it.
The one he bought?
Wow. So look, to answer your question, Giovinazzi did not pass anybody during this race. Okay. The race itself. And what a race it was. Usually I jump into the podium finishers. Do you guys want to talk about the start of the race at all before we get there? It started with, we talked about qualifying just now, but what it seemed like to me, Lance Stroll, Sergio Perez got off to a terrific start. Like Racing Point, like even their Twitter feed was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening, which was hilarious. But it seemed to me that exactly what you guys talked about, where the racing line, quote unquote, there was a lot more grip. You saw the right side of the grid get off to a much better start than the left side of the grid. Mm-hmm. And then obviously that rain just kind of really mucked everything up. So for example, Max Verstappen was on the left side in second, he qualified second. So he got off to a terrible start.
Both Red Bulls got off to a terrible start.
Yeah. Well, guess what? Alex Albon was fourth.
Perez has said that.
He was on the left side.
Yeah, Perez has said that the day before that he actually, somehow he's glad that he got third so he could be on that side.
Wow. Yeah. That's the experience talking, man.
If you see the overhead shot of the start, you can see like the Red Bulls were just like there.
Right.
They were kind of moving, but there, and then everybody was just passing
them. Yeah. So so that was fourth, right? Alex Albon, he had a bad start. Sixth was Lewis Hamilton, who like flew up it was crazy to see those guys on the left, the first two guys on the left having problems. And then Hamilton just, okay, I'm going. Oh, yeah. This is just it.
And Ricciardo and Ocon, they were also flying by everybody.
Yeah, Ricciardo and Ocon were flying too. It just came together.
Ocon was seventh and Ricciardo was fifth. So they're on the right side. So that's why they got that good start. It was just.
It's like when they got to that first corner, everything just went.
Well, Ricciardo said that he was not expecting Lewis to be there. So he was either make contact with Lewis or try to avoid him, but unfortunately Ocon was on the other side. And that's where it was like little bump, like a little notch, and that just
but in that rain,
that's what
you're just gonna in the rain on a track that is definitely
new.
It's new and it's slippery. Regardless of the rain, it's slippery.
So in that turn, the first turn, if it was, I don't know, what other driver would have crashed into Lewis instead of just giving him space?
No, because you see Lewis. You want to preserve your race, right? So you don't want to.
No, like I'm talking about like who would have closed the door then? Grosjean probably. K-Mag.
Yeah. I don't know. I just thought it was worth kind of like talking like, dude, Stroll and Perez just bounced. They were just so far out.
Bottas got off to a good start too.
No, he spun right at the beginning.
I know, but he got off to a good start and then he spun. Yeah. I'm saying like this, like for example, like Ocon.
Bottas was ninth. He was on the right side.
Yeah, Ocon,
crazy.
Bottas,
and Bottas spun
and
trying
Ricardo.
To avoid Ocon.
Ricardo got off to a good start, and so did Vettel. The only one that came out clean was Vettel. Everybody else spun for the most part.
Mr. Spinderella himself.
Yeah.
I don't think spun.
He didn't spin one time.
The whole weekend.
Yo, Bottas spun like 6 times. No, 6.
Wow.
Bottas spun 6 times.
Max, who's good in the rain.
At
least twice.
I was gonna when I saw qualifying, right? And when we saw obviously we expect Lewis Hamilton to be the rain master. Because he is one of the best driving in the rain.
The other one that's the other
and
best.
The other one that's good is Max. So my question to you guys was going to be coming into this podcast after I saw qualifying was going to be, you think that Max has overtaken Lewis as the best driver in the rain? But after that race, I'm like, I'm not even going to go there.
So we'll talk about Max, but I think that he was just you saw it after qualifying. He was all depressed. He was about to like cry in the hallway there.
In the river.
Yeah. He was just in his head.
He was so quick. He was so quick. He missed a monster
What a disaster. If he had gotten pole position, he would have won this race easily. Hands down, walking. He would have lapped everybody. Walking away.
Even after his spins, he was right behind the next car within a few seconds.
And there on camera, those spins that he did, I think it was like 2 or 3 turns that he did.
Yeah, there was
awesome. No, because I was expecting him to do the same recovery as the last time. Wow, remember, I think he spun twice and then he recovered and took off again. But this one he ended up a little bit in the grass, but he still did very well.
Yeah, and then I mean we'll get to that part where he did. I think it was like 3 or 4 spins,
dude. All right, so just to kind of bring it back, the podium finishers, we'll go 1, 2, 3. Lewis Hamilton, dude, 6th place start, I guess, was able to push forward, get to how do I say it? He was getting himself into a position where he was competing with the racing points. He
was just patient.
That's really what it came down to. He was just patient
until those tires clicked on for him.
And where he wasn't patient, he was trying to overtake Sebastian Vettel. He was stuck behind him for a while.
Mm-hmm.
He got impatient, tried to pass him, tried to go around the outside, which was ridiculous. And he lost it, but he didn't like just dump it. It was a controlled. Like, all right, I can't do this.
There was like a runoff area that you had to go through.
I mentioned this to you on text during the race, and I said, even though Lewis wasn't perfect when he was trying to overtake, he made sure that if he was going off, he didn't go off spectacularly where he would let a whole bunch of cars pass him by. It looked to me it was more measured. He said, okay, I'm not going to make it. He pulls the car in. Even though he went off a little bit, it wasn't this full-blown spin that everybody else was doing. And that's the experience. That's what a world champion does.
Right. He lost positions when he pitted on lap 8, but from there, he was just battling. He
just made, he drove those tires until they switched on for him. And then when he just went
50 laps on inters,
unused inters,
slick intermediates.
Yeah,
it looked like
when he finished.
His tires look like one of those bald guys that are in denial.
Hey,
where they have the slick top and the hair growing out. the normals bald, the 80s bald guy look. That's what the tires look like.
So he pitted on lap 8 on onto used intermediates and rode them all the way to the end. They were talking about pitting, but Lewis Hamilton called him off, saying that he didn't want to pit. He thought that he could make it to the end.
And he had a pit stop in hand.
He
was 24 seconds ahead. The pit stop, I think, is 22, 23 seconds.
So that's another thing, man. Like, he really just, like, as soon as he passed, who was it, Perez, he just
took off.
He took off. It's another example of that Mercedes, once you're in clear air, just being a beast. And I think, who was it, Brundle, that mentioned that in 2007, he lost the championship trying to pit. He pitted a couple of laps too late, and he dumped it into the gravel, and he's still thinking about it. That's what Brundle said. But
no,
Hamilton said it too.
He said it.
Actually, you're right.
No, he said no. They gave him the chance. They said the team told him box. So we have a full pit stop, so you can, because he was worried that if there was rain forecast for the last 2 laps of the race, heavy rain.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, at that point, those tires weren't intermediate; they were slicks. So, and he said it on the radio. He said, "Listen, if we get caught out in the rain and these slicks, we're going nowhere." So then, the team noticed that he was obviously way ahead.
Oh, yeah, like 30 seconds.
Yeah, it was like, I think it was like 24 or 25 seconds, 24 seconds, I think it was, because I remember that. And they were gonna bring him in, and he said, "No, I'm not, because of, pin entry could be, could be slippery, and I've lost the championship the way he said it. He lost it back in 2007. So he said, no, you know what? I'm good. I'll stay out."
Dude, but even like the next person right behind them was Perez, who was in the same type of situation. So Perez wasn't going to gain that much on him. Vettel ended up finishing third, obviously, but Leclerc and Vettel were in a similar position. Wow. Unexpected. They were in a very similar position in that they were on newer inters.
Yeah.
So, but they were almost, Vettel's were 25 laps old by the end, and Leclerc's were 28 at the end. So, I mean, in reality, would he have really lost that much time by just staying out there? No, the gamble is that the people that are behind them just don't pit. So I would have just stayed out.
Yeah, but also you don't know if the issue is that everybody else was also thinking about pitting, because they all know that rain was going to come.
Yeah.
So if what happens, he gets caught out, he has no tires, he's on slicks, and everybody else is on intermediates. It's a big difference, especially if it's raining. So, last 2 laps, if that happens, you could get caught.
He would have lost.
Yeah.
If the rain,
or you run the risk of it raining and you go off.
Listen, this is just another chance the Mercedes took, and it worked for them.
Yeah.
Well, and Lewis called it.
Of course.
That's been the story of the season, that he's just been calling a shot. Like, yo, this is what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. He called it.
That's what happens when you're a champion, I guess. But all right.
7 times.
Yeah. So we
Michael Schumacher.
We talked about Hamilton being patient and just kind of using his experience in the rain. So Sergio Perez, who had a great start, he had a great qualifying in the rain. We talk about experience. This man literally just schooled all the youngins, right? Just went through.
Mr.
Consistent.
All the veterans school all the young guys this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry then.
No, but that's really the story of it. We talked about that he pitted on lap 10. This is when I think Giovinazzi had gone off, my boy. And then he was able to maintain those tires for 47 laps after the fact. So there's not much more to say other than
this weekend was perfect for him.
And then Hamilton had to pass Perez too. Let's not forget that.
Mm-hmm.
He was the only way it could have happened better for him was if he had beaten Hamilton, but that would have been Hamilton driving off, right? It wouldn't have been, he couldn't have done anything about it. So,
meaning if Hamilton would have pitted and he would have crashed then.
Right. This guy's making a real argument for himself for next year.
Surprised that
Haas.
nobody's
Has to be Haas.
Haas is not going to take him.
They're losing. They're missing out.
They want a cheap driver.
Well, I think during one of the interviews, they asked him, "Are you still waiting for Horner to call you? Like, this guy just make a decision already. Call
yeah,
me.
of course they're gonna
sign me up.
They're gonna push the rumor.
They tried to push that rumor that Williams, or his team tried to push that rumor that Williams was trying to sign him, so they can put pressure on Red Bull to sign him, and obviously that didn't work. I don't know. I don't think Haas is gonna sign him. I think the only seat that might be available for him would be the Red Bull seat. But I think they're gonna stick with Albon, and that's what it's looking like. So.
What do you think, was?
Oh my god, I think that it's what I think is the Red Bull seat and sticking with Albon. I'm like, dude. I mean, I get it. You want to give your guy that came up in your program.
Why?
Now they want to do that after they
trash gas.
They trash everyone.
He just did. He does. Look,
is it the money? You think?
No. Look, Albon at one point it looked like he was going to win because he was just blasting out laps, and that was why the race was so good because we felt like everyone was going to win. Yeah, that was so
at
good.
one point I thought it was going to be Max. Then I thought it was going to be after he spun
until
it was like you dumb bastards. It's going to be Lewis.
No, but we even thought that maybe Leclerc had a chance too.
Dude, and we'll talk about the Ferraris later because man, like.
They had the pace.
But all right, so speaking of the Ferraris, Sebastian Vettel, old dog, you don't need to teach him new tricks. The guy's the man. I don't know. Aston Martin, if he gets his head on straight, is going to have a terrific driver.
If he has a team behind him,
if he has the right car behind him,
and he has the car that he wants.
He didn't spin.
Why wouldn't they give him the car that he wants? Are they going to freaking build
I think they're starting to do it now. I think that they had no idea what they were doing with the car before, and it's starting to take shape now.
How can you say that when he in 2017 and 2018 he was right there with Mercedes
on the cheating engine?
No, the cheating engine was last year.
I'm just talking about this season.
Well, this season was.
He didn't have the car he wanted.
Yeah, and the car's being more tailored to Leclerc. Leclerc showed that he can take. He's more nimble with the car. He can take a car that's not really planted in the front end, on the back end, and he can hustle it around. It's very similar to Max, very similar to Lewis. Vettel's driving style is very different. He depends on the back end to be planted on the ground, where he can trust that car going around corners and it's not going to go off on him. During practice. Leclerc was enjoying himself because that's the way he likes to drive. He likes that car to be a little bit unstable. He can hustle it around. But Max is the same way. Lewis is the same way. Not every driver is like that. Every driver has their own. Every driver has their own driving style,
of course.
But either way, kudos to Vettel. I mean, he drove one hell of a race. It looked like the old Vettel. Like when the chips are down, he would. He somehow found his way into the points and eventually got onto a podium. Good for him, man. Awesome. Yeah, and he took the opportunity because when Leclerc went off at the end, he went right. He was there and he was in that position, and that's all you can ask for a driver: is just be in the position when an opportunity arises.
Take
it. And he did it.
So, Sebastian Vettel, third place. Back on the podium, first time in this year.
I think since wasn't it since Singapore last year when he won that race?
I can check that and we could get back to it.
Yeah,
but it's his first time in a podium in a long time, and best of the rest was Charles Leclerc. Like Yhancy just said, coming down at the end of the race, the last lap, Leclerc kind of overshoots a turn. As he had passed Perez, overshoots one of the last turns. I forget which turn it was. Overshoots.
It was that complex. I think 12, 13, and 14. I think something like that.
I think you're right.
Yeah, it was like that little
squiggly
thing. Like that. Yeah.
Overshoots it. Perez overtakes him, and then obviously seeing the window, Vettel squeezes his way in through as well. So what I really kind of want to talk about is. Has Ferrari kind of just fixed it? They brought upgrades, what was it, 2 races ago?
Mm-hmm.
And have they?
They're getting better.
They're
but
fixing the kinks.
I don't want to go so far ahead because this race was, it's when it rains,
It pours.
it brings when it rains, it brings the field closer together, so you don't really see the true performance of the car. What happens when it rains is that it brings the leaders back into the fold, and sometimes crazy things happen, especially with these cars that you can't really overtake or you can't really follow too well. So it brings it brings everybody closer together, so you don't really get how the car is performing. Now, if we look at it as say we take the last 3 or 4 races together, we could definitely see that Ferrari has improved. But is it up to the level of, let's say, like a Red Bull? No,
No,
I don't even think they're even up to the level as a racing point. But they've gotten better. Now, a good racing driver can get you a little bit further up, and can make that car seem like it's better, as we talked about what Leclerc's been doing the whole year with the Ferrari. But I'm not gonna go on a limb and say, yeah, Ferrari's better.
So Vettel,
The
I'm sorry.
upgrades, I'm sorry. Yeah, the upgrades have been working, and they're just fixing the little kinks here and there to make it.
Yeah, I mean,
to solidify.
I think at this point, most of the teams are working on the car on bits to put on the car for the next season. Also,
So Vettel he last won in Singapore in 2019. His last podium was Mexico 2019.
oh yeah, okay.
Right, he was second place, and the race right before that, he was in second place as well in Japan.
Okay.
Since then, it's been not so good.
Yeah.
But just going back to the Ferraris themselves, and I got to tell you guys, Charles Leclerc just continues to impress. He, at some point, he was the one that was busting out fastest lap after fastest lap. This guy, let's put it this way. If Max or Bottas or one or the other or both, if there's an issue, you're gonna see one of two guys up there. It's gonna be Ricciardo or it's gonna be Charles Leclerc.
Yep.
And to be able to be that guy that's like, hey, I'm here. What's up? How's everybody? It's just
It would have been. I was really hoping that he would have gotten that second place.
Yeah.
Obviously,
well, the weekend itself, for Ferrari as a whole, not just him and Vettel. I'm talking about the gambles of because they seem to us on watching the race like, what is Ferrari doing?
Well, Ferrari
and those calls they made were on point.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying like when the calls were made, you're like, okay, here we go again with Ferrari.
Right.
With the batch up stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But even the Vettel pit stops, they were like 5 seconds.
Yeah, it seems like they knew that they had to get through the graining on the tires, on the intermediates.
Whatever they did this weekend worked.
Yeah. No, I got
compared to what what we did in the past for them. What they've been doing in the past. Because they're some of the strategies calls. You're like, what the? Even I'm talking about even in this race, they looked like they were crazy, but they worked this time.
The strategy was to get them earlier on the intermediates, so they can work through the graining. So at the end of that stint, they can be quicker, which obviously worked.
Of course.
Leclerc drove spectacularly because he did not have a good start to the race. But once they put him on the right tire strategy, he was flying up the field. And I think the only reason what happened there was when Perez actually went off. So that's why he went for the overtake. Now, him going for that overtake, he had to get onto the marbles. And for those who don't know what, the tires grain, so they literally spit out little balls of rubber. When you go onto the marbles, the tire becomes unstable and it becomes slippery.
Solid, yeah.
So Perez went off. He got by him, but Perez had a really good exit, and he obviously didn't. When he broke he even said it on the telemetry. It said that it was the same braking point that he used on previous laps, but it's just that the car didn't brake, kept going. He locked up, so that's why Perez was able to get past him, and so was Vettel. So obviously Perez got second, and Vettel third.
I'm so stupid.
He was really hard on himself, which is not a bad quality to have, because he has shown in the past that when he does make a mistake, he's hard on himself, but he corrects him, and he's obviously become a better driver because of it. He even brought up that time when he crashed in qualifying in Baku.
Listen, what we got to do is Bernardo has to stay in the factory like he did this weekend. So the strategies can work. So we don't have people, overshouting.
The strategies were good, man.
Yeah, for
both
Ferrari
Vettel and Leclerc, they were fighting because of the strategy.
And this guy was not there.
They put him in the right position.
And this guy was not there this weekend.
We got it.
Wow. Okay. Guys,
I ain't gonna do my boy Bernardo like that, bro.
Screw
That's
him.
messed up, man.
He ain't doing nothing.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Yo, Lance Stroll's race, dude. He was out. We were all shocked. Even our friends on a separate group chat, we were like, dude, how's Lance Stroll like ahead? And it didn't work out for him, but
because he sucks.
Man. So here's what I will say, right? Obviously, there is a good driver somewhere in there, right? He just can't have anybody else around him.
Wow. Okay.
Right? So we've seen it before this season where he is dive bombing Ricardo. What was that in? I forget what race. Austria, I want to say. Mm-hmm. Way back at the start, he goes around the outside of Norris trying to pass him. Stupid fashion, ends his race. He, for some reason, he just cannot do well with others around him. And
I think there is I think you're right. There is a good racing driver in there. I don't think he's one of the best, but he's a decent racing driver. But I think mentally he has to work on his game. Weak. He was, once they put him, he pitted. They were trying to give the excuse on the broadcast afterwards that the reason why he fell back so hard was because his tires grained. They were graining like crazy. But I'm like,
well, that's what he said on the radio.
Well, yeah, that's what they thought it was. And then I'm just looking, I'm like, but everybody pitted around the same time.
Right.
And nobody had that problem. Right. So now it comes out, as I read the article today, that during the race, they were showing in the telemetry that the car had a loss of downforce, but they couldn't pinpoint what it was. In parc fermé after the race, they saw that there was a crack on the front wing, on the underside of the front wing, and that could be the reason why he dropped back so much.
Right.
So, I don't know how much more, but to totally say that it was completely his fault, I don't want to go there. But I think it would be safe to say that a better racing driver would have handled that situation better than what he did, instead of falling all the way back. I think he finished, 8th or 9th?
I could check. He finished 9th.
9th, yeah.
From pole
position. Yeah.
It looked like he was going to run away with the race.
Awesome start.
It looked like he was going to run away with the race. So,
he did have a chance at the beginning.
Yeah, and then also, I don't know if you can blame them for that call either. The Racing Point to put him on the intermediates. It's just, I don't know, man. It's tough to say that it was completely his fault. And things happened during the race: a broken front wing, graining tires. I didn't buy the whole tire argument at first because everybody pitted at the same time and he had the same tires. Now the front wing story, maybe that might account for it.
Can we go back to what I said first? Stroll sucks.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at his, I guess the data of his race, his laps 11, 12, 13, 14, they're all competitive. So it does. I don't know if I really buy it that it was the front wing. I mean, obviously in a slippery race, rain race, that matters a whole freaking lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. He was competitive as far as timing goes in general, and he ended up losing it.
Somehow he winds up in the wrong end of the spectrum when it comes to difficulties. But then we're critical of him because we've also seen other drivers face similar difficulties and come out ahead. So, but he's still young, and like I said, there is something there.
And hopefully
It's
the
just
experience
that he
brings it out
has
more.
to get it all together. But the difference is that he's going to have the time to put it all together because
Daddy Dearest.
And they have
his
the money.
father owns the team.
And they have the money.
He's not going to, like, for example, let's say you put Albon, who's been struggling like crazy, he won't have that luxury because of the team that he's on. So
It still sucks.
Dude, I don't know. I mean, just even looking at the lap times again, right? I looked at them before, but he's lapping right after the pit stop. He's comparable to Lewis Hamilton, and then it goes to around like kind of like lap 20-ish, where he just starts to fall back, where he's lapping 2 seconds a lap. And I'm using Hamilton as a comparison because obviously that's the benchmark, but he's 2 seconds a lap slower, and it's just like, what's going on here? I don't know.
and the car is quick, so it's not.
The car is quick. Whatever, man. He kind of cost himself point wise, but whatever. He still finished. Okay.
Sound frustrated.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because like I said, there's a good driver in there. It's just he's mentally weak. We saw the top 3 finishers are the experienced veteran drivers that were very cool, calm, and collected during the whole race, right?
Mm-hmm. But then when things start going wrong, it's just like something switches on, and it seemed like he was whining, and then he was just in a bad mood. And then when you get yourself mentally in that state, nothing goes right.
Right. And look at Lewis Hamilton.
Like a spiral.
Almost went off trying to pass Vettel, but snaps right back and just keeps going.
Or even Max. Max, when, I
Dude,
mean...
Max is another story, isn't
Max,
it?
go ahead. For me, the story for me was what I found super amazing about this race is the way Max, even though he made so many mistakes, but even after he makes those mistakes, like within seconds, he was either passing somebody in front of him or right behind somebody, and it was, I think, if he wasn't so impatient, he would have won this race. Right. And he's so quick. Right. Like just watching him trying to overtake Perez, even though obviously it was not successful. And this is when he pirouetted like 3 million times. That wasn't, I think maybe if he would have waited a little bit longer, he would have gotten past him. But he was so much quicker than Perez. He was
so much quicker than
everybody. He had him.
Yeah.
And it was just, he was so impatient. And obviously, when you get right behind the car, you don't have the downforce, and you're going into that. I think that part of the track is flat out, but when you have to do, you got to get into that kink, and it just didn't work out for him. But it's just, it was so frustrating because that race was his. The Red Bulls were the quickest cars on the track by far. And this race. And they just didn't take advantage of it.
I think this weekend, Max, the results we got from Max, which, for what happens during the race, are still awesome results. But it shows that, my man, you need to be a little more patient. Just take your time. It's coming. I think maybe somebody
in the middle of the race. It wasn't
maybe somebody in his team should tell him, "Hey, we have the pace. Just wait for the right opportunity. Don't overshoot it."
Yeah, it's like you can like we can compare. Let's say Leclerc's trying to pass Perez. You can kind of see why Leclerc wanted to do that.
You have to do it there
because he had to do it there. It was the last lap. But when you have the entire race ahead of you and you know you're quicker, there's no reason.
Yes.
Why you would do that, and then to do it in such a spectacular format, it was like he lost so many places. He flat spotted. He had to pit. Just like calm down, man. Just calm down. I think he was a victim of his own confidence there because he's such a good racer in the rain.
Exactly.
A good driver in the rain. I think he was overconfident there and just went for it.
I think that's what it was.
And that's what happened all race because he kept
doing it and doing it over and over again. But I think
he knew he had the pace.
If it was a different track where
the grip was more
normal, he probably could have pulled a lot of that stuff off. Would have been him like in Brazil.
What was that? 2016.
But this was a different track, and he has to know all of the. If you're gonna be a complete driver, as Lewis Hamilton is, you got to know all the elements, and
As
that's
Sebastian
what
Vettel is, as Sergio Perez, as Charles Leclerc.
Exactly. And even I wouldn't even put Charles Leclerc up there because he's still very young.
Yeah, so, dude, that was exactly what I thought. This was Max race to lose going into it. In the middle of it, I was like, yo, Max is like really just blasting out lap times. He looked great, and then he just could not control himself.
He just the car looked fast. When you saw him, even by himself, he looked like he was going fast.
So how about this?
Just flying.
How about this? How good is the Red Bull team to set up these freaking cars? Because another guy that looked in the middle of the race like I thought he was going to win. Alex Albon, I think this was his best race of the season, to be honest with you, even though the result wasn't there. But like,
he did well too, and he could have won the race too when Max went off. But it's just the circumstances.
I think because of all the incidents and all the stuff that was happening throughout the whole race, he didn't. The limelight was not on him because of that. Mm-hmm. On top of Albon, he did very well this race, and he should hopefully he used as momentum. Build on from this.
Yeah, but the problem is he didn't get the results. So he's going to be in his head like, oh, he finished 7th.
Still,
I mean, Max finished 6th.
Yeah.
So I mean, it wasn't
this weekend.
Like they were way off.
This weekend he was a teammate.
It was
he was because he was supposed to try to beat your teammate.
Mm-hmm.
So this weekend he was part of the Team Red Bull.
What was he? What is he before?
He's part of the rejects.
No, but like for example, when Max went off, this was what it should happen. What should happen, right? When one of your teammates goes off, you're right there,
capitalizing.
And he was there, but he went off also,
dude.
So and it was just because of the circumstances.
It hurt my heart, to be honest with you.
No, me.
No, because I am an unabashed Max Verstappen fan, right? And you see that this weekend in particular, not just Max, but the car was set up perfect, and
that Red Bull was good.
It was good this weekend, right?
So good.
Max could not. The circumstances, like whatever, he couldn't fully capitalize on Saturday. The start really screwed him up on Sunday, and then he was trying to make up. He was so desperate to make it up that, as Yhancy was saying, he was overconfident in his abilities, and he just overshot everything.
The fastest car this weekend was the Red Bull. Second fastest was the Racing Point, and the third fastest was the Mercedes.
How crazy is that to say, right?
With the best driver.
Insane. And who winds up winning? The Mercedes.
Well, it's the drivers. That's what we always talk about, man. So, all right. So that's the Red Bulls. I don't want to talk about every team, but there's 2 other teams I want to talk about because of the constructors' implications. The McLarens. We saw the slick intermediates, as Yhancy said. Dude, Lance.
That was not my
I'm sorry, not Lance.
But that's what they were saying.
On Reddit,
your boy Sam Collins on the F1 after show.
That's my boy.
That's
these
a
slick
technical
intermediates.
term.
Lando Norris, he had pitted. What was it? He pitted on lap 9 and then lap 36. But for some reason, his tires were like really worn in, and they got into this incredible groove where he not only did he set the fastest lap, but he blasted it out by over. What was it? He blasted it out by over 2 seconds.
I'm still trying to figure out how he wasn't further up.
Traffic.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's a whole, but it's just insane. Like when you see that. When you see that chart, you should.
So there's a cool chart. I'll make sure to post that on our Twitter and our Instagram, F1bythenumbers.com, race pace by mean. It's got all the little balls that show like their charted speed versus everybody else. And Lando Norris's chart is like so far off. It's so far off. It
looks like he won the race.
Yes, it's so far off that the next one showing the other grouping of drivers, they actually had to recalibrate to start from a different time because Norris wasn't on it.
Crazy. But McLaren had a good race. I mean, but they're
not results wise, but
they are what they are. It's what I've been saying all season. So they're gonna be there.
Yeah, we talked about consistency and experienced drivers. Carlos Sainz, definitely experienced, definitely consistent. Ends up 5th, right behind the 2 Ferraris. He actually really wasn't even that far off of him. And then Lando Norris finished 8th. Not much more to say other than it'll affect the championship standings. We'll talk about that coming up. Renault Renault, Daniel Ricciardo 10th, and Esteban Ocon 11th.
I think their race was
doomed from the
start.
Right.
They both got out to very good starts.
Esteban Ocon spins in turn 1.
Yeah. And then, his race was done after that.
Right. Ricciardo qualified in 5th.
Not a bad recovery drive from Ocon to finish in 11th, one place off the points. But the car wasn't that quick, so.
Yeah, the other thing I wanted to talk about was we saw a virtual safety car, going back to what we originally talked about with safety and Michael Masi and all that stuff, right? It was a virtual safety car in a slick track in the rain. I understand that is the new thing after Jules Bianchi unfortunately passed away, but it took time to call the virtual safety car. And then the fact that it was a virtual safety car, just in those conditions, I was like, man, what the heck are we doing here? Like, let's keep these guys safe. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but I was not happy.
I didn't notice it, but now that you mention it, yeah.
No, I was expecting the safety car. I was expecting a safety car because of the conditions, as a whole. Maybe the situation that happened in a normal circumstance, like a normal atmosphere or normal temperatures, would not call for a safety car, but because of
the rain,
because of the whole package,
I think it was because of the rain.
The ice skating ring that they were racing on, all this stuff,
Yeah, I mean, the safety car would have been a better call there.
That probably would have changed the whole everything for the race.
Yeah, because a lot of people pitted right then.
Kind of crazy that we had a crazy ass race and there was no safety cars.
Yeah.
Which is usually when we talk about rain, a rain-filled race with oddball results.
No data because they had issues.
Yeah.
Exactly. You took that out of my mind. Like, with zero data because they couldn't.
No safety car needed.
Right, a track that they had not really raced before. Only the 3 guys that were finished on the podiums. Okay. Drivers' championship standings.
Oh, one thing that I did what I heard mentioned in the coverage, that if you get less grip, you get better racing.
So that's coming next year. Less downforce.
There you go. Not next. Well, next year.
Yeah, next year is less downforce.
It's more 2022 than anything.
Oh yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're right.
You're gonna have cars with less downforce next year because of the technical regulations, but they're expecting to catch up to that during the season. But 2022 is when they're gonna change the rules.
So drivers' championship standings, obviously Hamilton is the champion. Well, Terry Bottas is 110 points behind them at 197. Verstappen is at 170. He missed a good opportunity to pick up a lot of points on him. Sergio Perez, 100 points. He shot up with his podium performance, picking up 18 points. Charles Leclerc.
Charlie! Moving up.
5th place. Actually, you know what? Charles Leclerc is 5th place. He's got 97 points, which is absurd to insane driving from Leclerc all season.
I remember when we talked about how this was going to play out, and I joked
exactly
that it was Leclerc. I was purely a joke.
You did, yeah.
But for this to happen, I was right.
And the man we thought that was gonna win it, the best of the rest, Daniel Ricciardo, is now in 6th. He dropped 2 places with that abysmal performance. He's down 1 point to Charles Leclerc.
I was gonna say, he's in 6th, but that's a number. He's there.
He's 1 point off of him.
It's 197 and 96.
I gotta say something, man, because it's mind-boggling to me. Sergio Perez in 4th place with 100 points, right?
Mm-hmm.
The guy missed 2 races.
Yeah.
Yes,
he did.
That's insane. If you add, what was Hulkenberg's points?
Well, he has 10.
He has 10. If you
he would have had 110.
If he which he would have done better because
out of the 2 races, Hulkenberg didn't
even race in 1. Yeah. Crazy to even think of that.
Dude, he's still in 15th place, by the way, with 10 points.
He's not even last. So to round out the top 9, Let's make it top 10. Carlos Sainz, 75 points. So he is 21 points behind Daniel Ricciardo. Probably not going to make that up.
Yeah.
He's probably going to stay in 7th or below. Lando Norris,
Unless
74.
He wins a race.
Yeah. Lando Norris, 74, 1 point off Carlos Sainz.
Which at one point he was third, remember that?
Yeah.
For a long time he was third.
Yeah, at the start when he was last lap Lando. Alex Albon, 9th place with 70. Embarrassing to me, but whatever. He's a Red Bull. He's in a Red Bull car. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
He's 5 points off of Carlos Sainz, 26 points off of Daniel Ricciardo. Oof. And Pierre Gasly at 63. Actually, let's make it top 11. Lance Stroll, 59 behind Gasly, Albon, Norris, Sainz, and then the other guys.
How many races did he miss?
One.
Big point difference between
Stroll and
Perez. 100 to 59. That's big. That should be closer.
And in one more race.
But then you have fucking Albon. Verstappen is 100 points clear of Albon.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, but Perez is not near the caliber driver right now that Max is. Well, I don't know. So, all right. So we have 3 races left. 2 Bahrain. One is the oval Bahrain. The other is the regular Bahrain. And then Abu Dhabi. Where do we see this going?
I still say it's a toss-up between Leclerc and Ricciardo. But we have it's tough to say between the 3 guys because Mr. Consistency is there, leading right now, you know? So how do you
we have,
you know, like how do you have 2 fighters.
Bahrain's a fast track.
Super fast track. So Renault will do good.
It's not super fast. It's got some long straights.
That's what I think about it from the
but
game.
This is what I'm saying. So we have Bahrain's a fast track.
And then the loop.
And then you have the loop, which is even faster. You're talking about lap times that are less than a minute. And then we have Abu Dhabi. So 2 out of the 3 tracks are super fast. I don't expect Ferrari to do well in Bahrain at all.
In Bahrain loop.
Or even in the...
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a fast track. They're not very good at fast track. The only 2 teams that are good at fast, say midfield, forget about the rest of them. We're talking about midfield. Would be
Racing Point and Renault.
Racing Point and Renault.
With a little sprinkling of McLaren.
Yeah, but they're not as good. They're not as good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're still above.
But Renault has shown to be better at fast tracks than Racing Point this year.
It's going to be tight, down to the wire for all 3 of these guys, not just Perez and Ricciardo.
I'm putting my money on Charles Leclerc.
Oh,
even though I wouldn't listen, if Leclerc does manage to even finish 4th, that'll be insane. But I'm putting my money on Danny Rick.
Ruben. So Danny Rick followed by Perez?
Yeah.
And then Charlie?
Yeah.
Charlie.
I hope Charlie finishes high.
And then the McLaren boys.
You would not shut me up if he finishes high.
If he finishes 4th, you will not shut me up.
To me, I think Ricciardo is the more hungry out of the 3 right now. And the advantage that he's going to have is because the tracks that are coming, where he's going to excel more. But it should be a toss-up between Ricciardo and Perez. And then obviously Leclerc's not going to...
Who do you think wins out?
I think... okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You got to choose somebody. You can't tell me it's a toss.
Perez.
Okay.
I'm thinking Ricciardo. Like Ruben said, he's going to be hungrier, right? I think that when the chips are down, Ricciardo is going to produce. And the chips... Dude, I think it was Brundle that was saying that the difference is like $10 million in the constructors.
Yeah, it's big.
So you take Lance Stroll out of it, you take Esteban Ocon out of it, right? We'll talk about the constructors. You need to... I'm gonna say it because he said it, right? It's big dick energy time. Like, let's go, right? He's the one
said it like that.
He had said it last year.
He has said it a few years.
That it's big dick energy.
Yeah,
right?
But I think he said that when he was with Red Bull.
He did. But it is big dick energy time. Like,
okay,
put up or shut up.
I've also heard talk that he doesn't want to give Renault
more money,
extra money because he's going to
get the hell
to McLaren next year.
Dude, McLaren is out of the picture.
I don't believe that, but you know what? Let's throw it in.
Dude, there's no way that this man will be like, you know what? I can finish 4th in the Drivers' Championship, but because I don't want to give Renault more money, I'm going to just
I don't believe that either. You know why? Because racing drivers are going to be racing drivers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they want to beat everybody.
One of those. And Ricardo's one of those.
Yep.
Here, I'm going to throw the curveball.
And laugh and have fun about it.
And Ricardo's the type of dude that'll be like, all right, yeah, here, you can have that. But next year, I'm going to be beating your ass.
I'm going to throw the curveball. I think Leclerc finishes 5th and Perez finishes 6th.
Whoa.
I like that prediction.
So that's drivers, and then obviously it'll be the 2 McLaren boys and Alex Albon in some combination, and Pierre Gasly and Lance Stroll down there as well. Like, whatever. Thanks for participating. Constructors.
Here we go.
Here we go. So with that unbelievable performance by Perez, dude, they should. Dude, if Stroll could have just made it happen, just
a little bit,
right? They'd have a commanding lead right now. Racing Point is 3rd in the constructors, 5-point lead over McLaren, who's at 149. Racing Point's at 154.
McLaren is the Sergio Perez of the teams.
Renault 136 has dropped back quite a bit. They just picked up 1 point in this past race.
Yeah.
Ferrari.
6
points back.
Ferrari.
130 points. Charles Leclerc is taking that team.
What was it? 15 and 12 points. They picked up 27 points just in this past race. Just to be like, yo, what's up?
Just like that.
Before
just like
this
that, they're
race,
back in here.
Before this race, you got to check the numbers. I don't know if it was 40. I think the last few races, Ferrari had 48 points, and out of those 48 points, Charlie had scored 40 of them.
That's
and then now if you
what would you say the last 4 races?
I think it's the last 4 or 5 races, something like that. I'm not sure what.
So pretty much the first 40 points they had it because of Charles Leclerc.
Charles Leclerc.
Well, here's what I will tell you, right?
But now if you have Vettel and Charlie
both scoring 40,
both scoring points, this could get interesting.
Yeah.
Since Spa and before this past weekend, Vettel had only scored 2 points.
There you go.
So,
Forza Ferrari! Come on, baby, let's go! I'm excited, baby, let's go! Whoa! Whoa!
I love Ruben Pepin.
Whoa!
Dude, so what do we think here? Is it all right? So Racing Point's 5 points up on McLaren. McLaren's at 149. Renault's at 136. What do we? Oh man, I think Renault out. I don't know. It'll be tough to. It'll be tough to overcome those 13 points. On Renault, and
well, Renault's gonna be doing well these
Racing Point.
It's the same thing the same thing that we just said about Ferrari with Vettel. If Ocon was a little more, without a DNF that he had, and a little more into the points, they would have had, a better.
Yeah, but Ocon has had a string of bad luck lately.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. If he would have been away from that bad luck, he would have helped the team more.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
And they would have been above McLaren with no problem. And super close. So probably above Racing Point. What are you laughing, was? What do you got? What are you hiding?
No, I'm not hiding. I'm just like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Super tight still.
It is super tight. I think it's going to come down to which of those teams gets a podium.
I got this. Racing Point at Bahrain, they're going to do horrible. And that's what's going to excel Renault. Watch.
That's why I'm thinking Renault's going to be in it, because they're really good at fast tracks, man.
Ocon's got to. So here's what I was laughing at.
Ocon got to put up.
Here's what I was laughing at. Who finishes with more points? Racing Point, that has 154 right now, or Max Verstappen at 170? Right? Who's gonna do it?
Come on, that's unfair.
Right, Max is gonna win that. Yeah, I agree.
It's just unfair.
One guy.
Well, I mean, Hamilton, he's got more points than Red Bull.
Dude, just look at Mercedes, 504 points to the second place team, 240. They have more than half.
Yep,
that's insane. That's crazy.
They have more than.
All right, so who wins? the third spot?
I think that man.
You know what it is? The third spot is racing points to lose.
Yeah, that's the best way I could think to say it. Yeah, I agree. It's racing points to lose.
Because I don't think McLaren.
I don't think
McLaren will take over that spot.
I don't think they will.
Yeah, I did because they're consistent,
McLaren,
but they're always like
you know what McLaren.
Now they're like 7th, 8th, 9th,
7th,
10th.
8th, 9th.
You know who McLaren got to watch out for?
Sainz got 5th place.
Listen, McLaren got to watch out for Ferrari, and they're still far from them. McLaren better watch out for Ferrari because if Ferrari keeps up with the
That is a good point.
but if they keep up with the same momentum that they've been showing after the upgrades, they probably take it over for them.
That is a good point. This is going to be
We talked about Leclerc. Dude, he has
Formula 1.5.
the last 3 races, 4th, 5th, 4th. That is a boatload of points.
Exactly.
That's what?
Look at the jump
that's
they made.
34 points just in 3 races for Leclerc alone.
Jeez.
And then you talk about Racing Point.
I don't want to get my hopes up and pick Ferrari.
Yo, look at Racing Point. In the last,
I'm not gonna do this.
Last 6 races for Lance Stroll. Retired. Didn't start because he had COVID. Retired 13th and 9th. And this is after Sergio Perez. Same races. 5th, 4th, 4th, 7th, 6th, 2nd. Oh man,
the battle's gonna be.
I think
the
Perez
battle
is getting the most out of the car.
The battle is gonna be between Racing Point and Renault.
In both constructor and drivers.
Yeah, and
Ricardo 6th, 4th, 5th, 3rd, 9th, 3rd, 10th.
Yeah,
that's
awesome. I don't see Renault even surpassing Racing Point. They will surpass McLaren, but I don't see them going up to Racing Point.
That's why I said 3rd place is Racing Point to lose.
I think Racing Point wins 3rd.
Straw sucks.
I want McLaren to get it because they took on all that debt, or they have all that debt that they came into the year with, etc.
That'll be cool, but
they sold the.
Can we buy that building,
dude? I'm in.
And have them as a tenant and be like a slumlord with them. Well, you didn't want to show me the wind tunnel, so no.
Yeah.
Oh, that we have a bad roof in the wind tunnel.
So
I don't care.
We'll agree that Racing Point will win 3rd.
No, I don't agree with that.
What do you think?
I think it's their 3rd place to lose, and they will lose it.
But who's gonna beat them?
You're always on the fence, dude.
Renault.
Yeah, stop this, man.
Renault.
Okay, you?
I think it'll be Racing Point.
I think it'll be Racing Point too.
I hope not.
All right, so just to wrap up, we've gone kind
of. If it's
long.
not Racing Point, then it's gonna be Ferrari.
Pirelli boss, just a little bit of a little bit of news. Wow. A little bit of news. Pirelli boss Mario Isola
Who the hell is
test positive for COVID. It's what
Mario
we
Isola is the Pirelli boss. Well, he runs the Pirelli. The
have you heard of this guy before this weekend?
Yeah, no. Of course.
Okay, I didn't.
I haven't. Yeah. He's the one that all the teams check with as far as like tire data.
So my only thing is, thank God that this is kind of wrapping up soon, because the world is getting much worse with the whole COVID thing.
It is.
Stay
safe, guys. Stay safe.
And Saudi Arabia open to holding a W Series event. I dragged them last week for all of their human rights BS. Yhancy, do you want to speak on this?
It's part of the PR.
Yeah.
Well, the first news the first piece of news that I saw after we did that podcast was that the W Series was going to be a support. They're going to be a support series for F1 and a few races. So that's.
So it would not only be in Saudi Arabia. There's going to be a couple
no. It's
races.
going to be. I think it's going to be.
How do they do Canada? Nah,
that'd be awesome.
They'll never do Canada.
I don't know where they haven't set the schedule yet, but they're as F2 and F3 are support races for F1. The W Series will be a support race for
but normally
F1, which is cool.
So probably the W Series will do the Asia races maybe, and because F2 a lot stays in Europe.
Nah, I think it's mostly gonna be in Europe.
That's F2
because it's a FIA series.
Yeah.
So they'll probably be in Europe.
What is the support series that we get when we go to Canada? I know Ferrari has
the Ferrari North America and the Porsche GT.
And the Porsche GT.
The gentleman drivers.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
But they also said that Saudi Arabia would be open to hosting a W Series round.
I believe it when I see it.
Well, listen.
Hey, for PR, they'll do anything.
It's what we talked about. You put the spotlight on them.
Yep.
Let's see what happens.
Gentlemen.
That's actually a good piece of news either way. So
Yeah. And like you said,
Mhm.
you said
But
the same thing last week.
let's see how it plays out.
Anything else, boys?
No, this was
Epic race.
an epic race off to Bahrain. I like Bahrain.
I like it too.
Fun.
It's good in the game.
Yeah, no, Bahrain's always a fun race.
It's got the toughest turn in all, I think, across the whole.
This is the race where Charlie almost won last year.
Oh yeah,
and he had engine troubles. Hopefully, he
and then
can
you
get
said
some
that they're
redemption.
slow. Well, that was the cheating engine.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, it's a Ferrari's a different story than it was last year.
You're right.
But Ferrari, I mean, Charles Leclerc was on. Was going to win that race.
Give it to us one more time. Let's go.
Charlie!
Ruben, anything?
Lewis Hamilton named most influential black person in the UK. He had that coming, I think.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also Mercedes is aiming to start contract talks in the next couple of days with him. That I feel like
I've been saying that
for the whole year.
Whatever. Just wait till the end of the season.
Nah. I think they're gonna have like some piece of paperwork preliminary, so try to sneak him in before the contract was signed for the cap. They have to do something.
They did come out and say that most of the stuff that they're talking about is just off track stuff, but they're gonna sign.
What
that
else?
deal. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
He is performing the track, so there's nothing.
Why wouldn't you
want to resign him?
Come back and break Michael Schumacher's record? That's one. Why wouldn't you keep annihilating the construction? Like, come on, seriously? And the car is going to be practically the same.
All right, boys, that wraps it up.
Happen.
See you guys next week for Bahrain Part 1.
Peace.
Later.